What's going on? So I registered Democrat this year to vote for Bernie Sanders in the primary. I voted for Jill Stein in the regular election. I honestly couldn't stand Donald Trump for most of last year, yet I could comfortably and honestly say I support him now more than ever. Why? What? How could that be? Everybody's telling me it's the worst presidency ever. It's the worst year ever to be alive. Are you working for the Republican Party? Are you working for Russia? Are you working for Trump? Actually, no. I've never voted Republican in my life. I've never thought about voting Republican in my life. Generally, I think all of politics has pretty much been a scam for my entire lifetime. But give me your time and listen to my reasons for why I support President Trump, and he's actually doing a way better job than I thought he would do. Number one, he ended the Trans-Pacific Partnership. This is something that Bernie Sanders preached and that he wanted to do as well. The Trans-Pacific Partnership was a massive trade agreement that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama were begging to pass through. That seemed like a complete scam to me. First of all, it was written by the corporations themselves and corporate lobbyists. It was going to send lots of manufacturing jobs overseas, and all the incentive in the world to use slave labor and manufacturing plants in other countries. It did nothing to fix the trade deficit. It had awful environmental regulations. Many reports said the price of medicine would go up. He put his money where his mouth is and ended the TPP. Since career politicians are such trash, I trust him to negotiate a better trade deal. 2. His Middle East policy. This is the most misunderstood, and I'm honestly surprised how little most Americans know about this. Hillary Clinton wanted to ramp up war in Syria and ramp up war with the Russians. Donald Trump wants to ramp down the war with Syrians and ramp down the war with Russians. Before the media blamed Donald Trump for everything in the world, and before Donald Trump even stepped into the presidential office, the United States was bombing 7 different countries in 2016. 7 different countries! This has nothing to do with President Trump. We killed Saddam Hussein in Iraq and left a huge power vacuum. Our country's leaders killed Gaddafi in Libya, who was giving his people houses, electricity, education, and gold-backed currency. This is what Hillary Clinton had to say about that.
Unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
Within the last 2 weeks, the United States actually agreed to a ceasefire in Syria. This is huge. This is ramping down the war in Syria. Why does nobody care? Because the media is ramping up war with Syria. Here's what Democrats are saying. Bomb Syria, bomb Syria, bomb Syria. I thought liberals were for social justice, for the environment, and for peace. Since when was ramping up war the answer? Donald Trump, believe it or not, is way less of a war hawk than the Democrats and the Republicans. I like peace, and I trust Donald Trump to get us there more than the trash politicians I mentioned earlier. Third reason. Donald Trump is destroying the mainstream media. The legendary Malcolm X had a brilliant quote about the mainstream media. If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. That's exactly what's happening now. The mega news corporations have been consolidating and consolidating and consolidating, and billionaires have been buying out newspapers to the point where journalism's at an all-time low. It's virtually non-existent on corporate media. All of the news sources Donald Trump calls out, the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, I watched them with my own eyes cheat Bernie Sanders out of a fair election. They never gave Bernie Sanders fair press. They never gave Ron Paul fair press. They never gave Rand Paul fair press. Pretty much any decent, half-genuine, half-authentic human being that runs for president, they won't give any fair press to. They admittedly elevated Donald Trump because he was an easy target. They act as a PR shield for Hillary Clinton and other corrupt politicians, and they're the root cause of a lot of problems in the United States. They're the reason that nobody knows that we were bombing 7 different countries during Obama's administration, and nobody cares. I would even go as far to say it's complete mind control. They tell you how to think, they tell you what to wear, they tell you what to watch, they tell you what's cool, they tell you what's socially acceptable. They pretty much control the minds of half of America, and it's not in a good direction. And don't let the media narrative fool you either. This isn't me following along with whatever Trump's doing. I've been saying this myself since 2008, talking about the corrupt, corporately owned media.
Time Warner, prepare to stop the prince. I'm convinced this is apocalypse.
So to have a president of the United States who's not hiding behind the mainstream media, but who's calling them out for being the phony, warmongering media that they are, that's revolutionary. I support that. The Trump administration is cracking down on human trafficking. It's getting virtually no press, but it's a pretty big deal. Over thousands of pedophiles have already been arrested in the United States. For some reason, modern-day liberals and people on the left who are supposed to care about racial rights and social justice rights, they don't care about what happened to Haiti. They don't care about the millions of women, children, and kids being kidnapped every year. They act like it's all a conspiracy. Well, guess what? Dr. Phil's talking about it.
On the outside, her clients were pillars of their communities. But behind closed doors, she says they were sinister and evil human beings.
The clients I was forced to have sex with were very rich and powerful, very important VIPs. They were in law enforcement, doctors, psychiatrists, judges, politicians, even people who owned sports teams.
Ashton Kutcher's talking about it.
And to ensure a society and government that defends it as well. It's abused. It's taken by force, fraud, or coercion. It is sold for the momentary happiness of another. I've seen video content of a child that's the same age as mine being raped by an American man that was a sex tourist in Cambodia.
President Trump's talking about it, and millions of people are talking about it. It's not a conspiracy, it's real, and Trump's administration is cracking down on it. As a social activist myself, I support that. I'm gonna be honest, I was a little skeptical at first when he said he was gonna drain the swamp. I was believing a lot of progressive media like Bernie Sanders, the Young Turks, and Lee Camp when they said, well, it's a bunch of billionaires. How could you drain the swamp when you put more billionaires in it? Yeah, I see where you're coming from, but that narrative is really not that honest. He's already replaced the FBI director, who was almost unanimously disliked. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who I've been very critical on because I don't want to see him start a war on drugs, attack marijuana, and start jailing people who don't deserve to be jailed. He actually is cracking down on the health and pharmacy industry because he had the largest fraud bust in US history. 400 people, over $1.3 billion between doctors and health facilities that were preying on poor, weak, and vulnerable people to overprescribe them for more profits. That's disgusting. I've been talking about the pharmacy and the health industry being a complete fraud for a long time, and I have to give it to Trump's administration. That's a big deal. Largest bust in US history. I know a lot of critics want him to just fill his cabinet with not billionaires and construction workers and farmers, but it's just not that realistic. To shift the agenda of this already massive group of powerful people, you're going to need some other powerful people. People with billions of dollars that are sick and tired of the corruption and crime. That's what it's going to take. I was very critical at first, but I'm done being negative, and when it's all said and done in 4 years, I think his actions will speak for themselves. Ending the Paris climate deal. As an environmentalist myself, this deal was literally nothing. It wasn't going to change the climate. It wasn't going to guarantee that anything was going to change or happen. It was basically one giant political circle jerk to pretend like they're doing something, but actually not do anything. India recently planted 66 million trees in under a day. 66 million trees. That's actually doing something. That's a solution. That's taking action and doing something about it. The Paris climate deal did nothing. I have good friends that are environmentalists and scientists, and they're actually doing something about it. Not like these fake politicians who get together, sign a little deal that literally does nothing, literally doesn't change the climate, and then pretend like it does. Do you know what that level of fakeness and that level of smoke and mirrors is called? One word: politics. On that note, another great thing that President Trump is doing is ending political correctness. Political correctness is basically a fancy, polite way of saying, lie to your face, pretend like you're nice, be a smiling, crooked politician, go destroy other countries, drop bombs all over the place, and lie about it to the television. That's what political correctness is. And to be quite honest, I'm sick and tired of it, because I actually like to help people. I don't just pretend like I like to help people. I don't try to pretend like I'm a good person. I try to actually be a good person. I know it's a foreign concept to some, but the era of phony politicians who smile and lie to your face is over, and I can't be more happy about it. Now in 2020, the door's open. Anybody can run. President Trump bashed through the barriers and made it so we can have an honest, respectful, genuine president in the future. Anybody could be president. That's what an optimist would tell you, but a negative, pessimist journalist or corporate TV spokesperson would tell you, it's the worst day in the world, it's the worst time to be alive, it's so bad. Shut up. We're all sick and tired of your negativity and fear-mongering. Donald Trump is not perfect. He says a lot of things that I would never say. He thinks a lot of things that I would never think. He could do a better job of reaching out to people who don't like him. He could also do a better job of reaching out to people of other races, religions, and people who don't think like him. I understand why people don't like him, but a large portion of it is the media. The media literally tells people what to think. People get murdered left and right, and nobody seems to care. It's like, well, Donald Trump Jr. talked to a Russian lawyer. Meanwhile, multiple people died the same day, and nobody cares because the media doesn't tell you to. I don't have a political preference. I think most Democrats and most Republicans are completely phony. I go where the truth is. I go where the logic is. I go where the facts are. I go where the reality is. And even during the election, when I couldn't bring myself to vote for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, I would have conversations with hundreds of people, and nobody voting for Hillary Clinton, nobody had any good reasons besides their hate and their emotions towards Donald Trump. Even now, when I talk to people who consider themselves liberal, most of their argument has no logic, no facts, and no reality. It's just emotions, negativity, hatred, and repeating a lot of mainstream media talking points which they drilled in people's heads, a lot of which is incredibly biased at best, completely fake and fabricated at worst. I get it, trust me, the news wants everybody to hate themselves, they want people to hate each other, they want you to hate the color of your skin, they want you to hate the color of other people's skin, they want you to hate people for your religion, your gender, blah blah blah. Trust me, I've seen the news fearmonger and hatemonger and divide people for 20 plus years now. He actually has the power to do some good, he wants to do some good, and he already is doing some good. The warmongers who have been pulling the strings on the puppet United States and the puppet presidents of the past are freaking out. And as an activist, a social justice advocate, a spiritual person, and somebody who wants the best for all people of all races and religions and genders, I think once people stop getting brainwashed and manipulated by the mainstream media, brainwashed and manipulated by Twitter, Google, Facebook, Huffington Post, Washington Post, New York Times, Fox, Al Jazeera, Newsweek, Democrats, Bernie Sanders, fake progressives, and fake social justice news sites, people are going to start to realize, hey, maybe Donald Trump isn't so bad. Let go of that hate, let go of that negativity, let go of that fear and paranoia and hatred for other people and hatred for yourself, hatred for America, hatred for society, hatred for the world, and let some love in, let some optimism in. Start having conversations with people. Have conversations with people who were born in other countries. Talk to people who moved from Africa. Talk to people who moved from the Middle East, from Mexico, from South America. Talk to people with different political views than you. Don't let the mainstream media tell you what other people think. Think for yourself. And if people do that, they might realize we're all not that different. And while the mainstream media and social media is desperate for war, desperate for negativity, desperate for division, while ironically posing like they care about social justice and care about unity and care about people, if you look past all of this bias hate, if you look past all of this bias negativity, look at the truth, look at facts, look at logic, look at reality. Sorry, I'm not sorry, but President Donald Trump, not that bad. Maybe just what America and the entire world needed. Thank you for hearing me out. God bless you and God bless your family. If you'd like to donate, check the comment section below. Either way, stay tuned for more real talk.